Victory Monday, guys. I'm Mike Wahle. This is Block Party. Thanks for watching. If you're enjoying, hit the subscribe button, rate and review. You can check this out on Process to Perform on YouTube. You can check it out on the Pack a Day podcast probably tomorrow with Andy Herman. Thank you again, Andy, for putting this on your platform. Packers beat the Steelers 35-25 in what felt like a really, maybe an overhyped, Rodgers comes back, game deal, the whole thing. I mean, what this game really came down to was execution on both sides of the football. Jordan Love has an amazing game. I think they said 20 completions in a row, 29 for 37, 360, 3 touchdowns. Just like a holy shit, that was a good game. The amount of times that he threw in rhythm last night to cutting receivers was, really it's indefensible. And this is another one of those games where you get online and, people don't like the way the game's being called in the first half. Second half, Matt LaFleur looks like a genius. So many creative plays to get guys open. Jordan Love's doing such a great job of executing the game plan. I thought it was fantastic. Our run game still sucks. Josh Jacobs, 13 for 33. Wilson, a little bit better, 11 for 61. Big news of the day, National Tight End Day, Tucker Kraft, 7 for 143 and 2 touchdowns, absolutely unstoppable. 131 yards of that was after the catch, which just means that busted coverages, of course, but also your head coach and your quarterback are putting together and executing the game plan that is getting a person in position to be successful, and he is taking full advantage of it, which is exactly what Tucker Kraft did. Now, the real key to this game, I think it was 16-7 at halftime, was very simply that Isaac Seumalo, the left guard for the Steelers, got hurt and they couldn't run their jumbo package anymore. We'll show it on tape. They're having a ton of success, and that's what they've been historically this year. Is this tight end jumbo extra offensive lineman, number 74 comes in, he's 320 pounds. Number 80 comes in, he's 300 pounds, the tight end. And they run the football, off the edge, and they overwhelm these 250-pound linebackers, 260-pound defensive ends. That's exactly what they were doing in the first half. When they did it, they had success. They could no longer do it because of a pec injury, took out 73, their left guard, and all of a sudden their game closed to absolute shit. I actually was like, I didn't realize it until I watched the tape again. I'm like, are they going to have to call for Arthur Smith's job? Because why would you go away from something that's working so well? Fantastic game from Micah Parsons. Fantastic. Carrington Valentine gets the start and just shows why he's been deservedly getting a lot of talking to in the media, in the locker room about getting more playing time. Played extremely well. Obviously, you're going to have some plays that go against you, but again, as a body of work, fantastic. We've got a ton of film to watch today, so let's just get right into it. I'll give you a kind of a brief summary at the end of this, but this was a really fun game to watch. And again, it's always interesting when an injury to the left guard, in my opinion, really kind of sealed the victory for the Green Bay Packers because it took away what the one thing that was being successful for the Steelers. Everything they were working off of was that jumbo package. So here's the tape. Check it out. A lot of good tape on this last night. The game changer. We'll talk about it as we go through, but Seumalo, number 73, gets hurt early. Late pec injury, late second quarter, early third quarter, something. But they don't run. They go from running that jumbo stuff to not running it because Anderson, 74, has to come in and play left guard. If we're just being 100% honest, that was the difference in the game. At least on the defensive side of the football for the Green Bay Packers, like totally different outcome when you got to drop back and run and doing that regular 12 personnel. They just don't have the horses. Now, I put this play in because this is probably the best play in football that nobody's talking about. Jumbo package, and we give the outlet to the real athletes on the field, 74. McDuffie doesn't even know what to do with him. When you watch this again, he's like, you should obviously just take him out low, but he's like, I can't take him out low. I'll get shit on in the locker room. So he tries to take him up high, but the dude weighs 320 pounds. It's fantastic. All right, we got a 3rd and 3 look, and I thought the Steelers had a really good way to protect Rodgers with, just think about Parsons in particular. And they just did it and they did it a couple different ways, but they start this guy either in the eye or offset, and then they just moved him wherever he needed to go. And then later on in the game, when it was becoming more obvious they were going to go passing downs, they would actually shift the tight end and start dancing around with all those guys. But pretty effective way to at least make sure you're going to get an extra set on him. Now, you can see Quay comes over the top and acts like he might rush. Or is that Cooper? Sorry. This is really the only big play in the game for the Steelers. And it's part of the problem with their team, quite frankly, and why they were in such trouble in the second half without that jumbo package. Like, they just don't have the offensive package to run some of the stuff that I think Aaron would, normally in the rest of his career would love to be running. 3rd and 15. You see they got 2 guys hipped off now. And the name of the game with the Packers last night, playing deep, keeping people in front of you, making tackles. And this is generally the way that a lot of defensive coordinators in the National Football League have thought for the last, let's say, decade, half decade, is let's just force them to make errors. And you saw over and over, these guys got themselves in 3rd and long through penalties and a couple sacks that were probably avoidable in other games. But you get in these 3rd and 15 plays, man, and so they put Parsons in the middle. And has anybody been a bigger recipient of or a bigger benefactor from the presence of Micah Parsons than Rashawn Gary? I mean, Rashawn's not even on the screen here. He just comes back inside, and they get Parsons. If we back this up, I've talked about this before. You're taking a rep away from the tackle. He makes his sacks and stuff on the tackle, but he's disruptive no matter where he goes. When they end up bringing him around here, they chip out. He comes up and then just comes back over. But we get the flush for Rodgers from Micah Parsons. Rashawn Gary gets pretty easy sack. And, honestly, I think there's been at least 4 this year where you don't have to win to get the sack, and it's largely either because they're game planning for Parsons or and they don't block you all together, or then obviously situations like that where he creates that pressure. I don't know if that goes into a stat line or not. Valentine 24 had a great game. Now they run a cross dog here. Cross dog, for you those who don't know, the backers going here and then they cross back over. Going to go inside. He's got the overhang, and he just gets, usually with this situation, do you want to come up? I mean, this is a real question for all defenses. Do you want your cornerback to come up and try to box this in and play it inside out so the safety has help on the inside? Or do you want to hang back and give him a chance to gain some momentum? Both the running backs for the Steelers are fast, man. Just gets out leveraged a little bit, gives up a play where they probably don't need to. See Quay's coming in early. They're trying to run that cross. Those kind of plays happen. So Carrington Valentine's got one-on-one up over here with DK Metcalf. They've got the matchup they want. Obviously, they're tilting the safety over to his side, even though there's trips on the other side. But they're going to end up going in a little man match action here. He's got what he wants. DK gets an inside release and now gives himself some space. I don't know if he slows down there or not. Carrington actually makes a really good play at the top of this route. They just don't have that many opportunities to make plays with defenders that are 50-50. You got to make those plays if you're the Steelers. I'll show you this toss play. This is the difference in the game right here. And not all of these plays work. But you've got 320 pounds, 300 pounds, and then you got your entire offensive line in and a really fast running back. And the Packers just by personnel, of literally talking about what you have available to you. I just don't know if they have the personnel to match up really well with this. I don't know how many teams do. So the Packers did have some issues just getting lined up on time, particularly out of this jumbo look. See, Gary's a little bit late. But Gary's going to get 650 pounds of human on him. 66 does a good job getting some movement. And Zach Frazier is that 4-time, heavyweight wrestling champ. I'm talking about this guy right here. He's actually, I think it was him and Linderbaum in that draft class, and maybe I think I might be off on that. No. It was Jackson Powers Johnson. I think that it was him and Jackson Powers Johnson, and neither one of those guys have are where they maybe were projected to be at this point. But they're both good players. So this isn't one of their better plays out of this, but you can just see the movement that they're getting. I mean, there's a huge hole to run through. And I brought this play up, and I think I might have it on the other side. But really, if Edgerrin Cooper doesn't do such a good job of violently releasing from 80's block right here, this is a huge play. You just see the seam going right through. Edgerrin Cooper does such a good job of violently releasing to the inside and forcing the cut. Makes the play happen, but you can just see that there's opportunities there. And again, I don't think it's not a tough guy thing. It's nothing. It's just you've got a lot of beef to hit on the edge. You just have to go 50-50 with your defensive tackles, and you're going to win a lot of reps on that. Got a 2nd and 1 look. They go back to it. And they have so many different variations of how they want to play this. So this is really just weak side toss with a backside split flow look after the motion with 74 here. And there's just so many bodies moving around. There's just so much. You just don't see. 80's an offense. 80's bigger than I am. 80 is effectively what I was, like 295 pounds. And so you got 7 offensive linemen on there and a running back who knows how to hit the hole. It's a really, really tough thing. It's carnage everywhere. It really gives these guys an opportunity to get off the ball. You see there's just, there's a goddamn car crash right here. You got problems. You got not a great situation to be in, even though you got Micah Parsons there. And it's just a question of can the running back get all the way to the backside, which, 30 and 17 both could. Good little stick there by McKinney. With some help from Quay. I put these in. I want to put these plays in sequence. So, Enibar does such a good job winning inside. Quick, bang. Samulalo hits him. Ah, shit, too bad. And then they run the next play here on 2nd and 15. They really want to hurry this up, but they run a screen. Like, why are you doing a hurry up on a screen? Enibar ends up getting 2 big plays here. I thought he was going to get a hip drop right here, man, honestly. After last week, you can't slide your legs. If you go across the body there, it's a hip drop. But great play. 2 plays in a row. It was kind of a weird play call by Rodgers to go faster into that screen when they're not set up. Usually when you're not set up, you're not going to get a great pass rush. They go back to their jumbo look. Another 10, 12-yard gain. It's just stealing. We talked about it before in the pre-show. The reason that this is so great is because you can double. You can double out here. But you get this angle here to here. And what you're really trying to do is secure this block. If you secure that block, you feel like you're in good shape. Now, obviously, you got a backup tackle against Parsons. Parsons isn't the biggest run defender in the world, so you don't feel terrible about that. He does a really good job, 74 on him, and that just makes the play. But you get that bumper on the left guard that really helps out. We're back to it again. This is all first half stuff, obviously. Now they bounce it, and it really, to me, this was the difference in the football game in the second half when they're not able to do this just because of personnel. They go away from it. They go to regular 12. They have obviously in gun a lot, and it just completely changed the game. See, Isaiah McDuffie's out here on, Isaiah McDuffie's a good football player, but come on, 80 outweighs him by 45, 50 pounds. Isaiah McDuffie's probably running around at 235, so we got 50, 55 pounds. Crazy. We got a 3rd and 9 look with a bunch wide here. They figure out where Parsons is so they can chip off. These plays suck, man, because everyone's going to go, Nixon, what the hell? This ball is pretty much uncatchable. You see it from this angle. They don't even block the middle linebacker blitzing. Just decide not to block him at all. I think that's Cooper. And he just throws this ball up knowing that, if it's a 50-50 look and you underthrow it, Nixon's not looking. Those plays are part of the NFL, and it's always going to be that way, and it's been a joke for years and years and years, but it's not going to change. You see here, they don't even think about blocking Cooper. He's almost surprised. Yeah, it's tough. Tough sport. One of their few successful plays here in the second half. They go motion out, and I'm not sure. It's just a coverage breakdown, right? They got to bounce, and it's almost like Buller doesn't know where the slot receiver is, who's effectively the best receiver on the field. So a little bit odd. We're in that third quarter. You can just see they're going to have some 12 stuff. I think they're going to do their fake pitch here. Get back out. And they miss a lot of tackles here, and it goes against what I said earlier. But you just see the concept of, there's 4 bodies running into the football. 1, 2, they got a defensive tackle chasing out. Not a great play by them, but conceptually you see what Hafley's trying to do, and it was certainly very effective for the majority of this game. Just heady play by Aaron Rodgers not getting the sack. This is one thing that was interesting last night, and Collinsworth brought it up, was when they need to go to the whatever their VAR is really called, the soccer version VAR, but stuff's kind of insane. So we got 12 personnel again. They cannot go to jumbo. They just don't have the humans now. Changes the game. Under center play action. Give up a sack. It's funny what happens in games. Nobody's going to talk about their left guard getting hurt and how that, effectively started this cascade of just disaster for the Steelers. But this is not the kind of team that they are. Look at Micah Parsons here. Jonnu Smith, I guess that's a chip out. But Jesus Christ. 3 dudes and he still gets a sack. It's vintage. Got another one here. They bring him inside. And just, other people are recipients of really just not having anybody to throw to. And Aaron Rodgers has plenty of time here. Sean Gary's blocked, but he gets another one. And then I think he's doing that 6-7 thing. I don't know what the hell, man. I mean, you look how Zach Frazier, though, their center, and you talk about people being the recipients of this. So they have to effectively, they got a TE going, and these guys are just going to say, we got it ourselves. Because this guy has been told, go wherever he's at. Because they're not really worried about anybody else. And so, Gary's blocked, just retraces, comes back in. Doesn't take anything away from what other guys are trying to do, right? It's just it's a statement of fact. So there's plays in the game where you just kind of know that you got it pegged. This is certainly the one. Edgerrin Cooper just makes a fantastic play, punching the ball out. Kind of seals the deal. And the reality is, you look on offense and there's just a couple of these throws. And look, we'll talk about them when we hit the offensive side. They just end up working out. I don't know if they're high percentage or not. But the Packers really made some great adjustments. I think the coverage by Jeff Hafley, the coverage really matched up, I think, with what the Steelers were trying to do on offense, even in the first half. They just, they make a couple plays here and there. And obviously the penalty down at the sideline with Keyshawn Nixon to set up the touchdown. But they continue to call really good football games. I think these running backs were hard to tackle. And I think that reflected some of the missed tackles that they showed on open field. But, this is a good football team. Obviously lost a ton of momentum when they got out of their jumbo, and we were able to affect that, I think, really offensively by just putting the team in a position where they had to drop back and throw. This is not what they're equipped for. When you have to get away from your game plan, your game plan is that kind of personnel specific. I think you have a hard time adjusting if they get hurt. The Steelers certainly did that. The Packers took advantage. These plays, though, are huge in the game. The more turnovers we can get, the better. Overall, really a fantastic effort. It was really good to see Carrington Valentine back in. We talked about it last week. Maybe that's a change that needed to be made and where that was going to be. Are you going to be able to eat that contract? And, what with Hobbs and just what does that look like exactly? I'm sure going forward, they're going to have to make some decisions, but it certainly looked like the right decision this week. All right, let's start off with second play of the game. Just good to get Christian Watson back in the fold here. See, they do a little switch release, really screws up the coverage assignments for the Pittsburgh Steelers here. Seems simple. Those quick outs, and one thing you want to point out here is Jordan Love is so good on his timing throws. Everyone's going to talk about the 20 completions in a row. Fair enough, unbelievable effort. But we'll show a couple plays in here. I mean, his off-schedule stuff is always great, but his timing throws are just so good. All right, we got a bunch up top, 2 tight ends in the game. Try to run the ball. Josh Jacobs is too good to average 3.7 yards a carry or whatever it was. It's just atrocious. I put this play in, though, to show you something because I've been talking about it for a little while here. So Sean Ryan back in the game. No, he didn't have a perfect game. But this is what you're looking for in terms of the expectations of performance, right? This play wins the rep here. Second step in the ground, turn, get to Patrick Queen upfield. You've won the rep. The problem is Luke Musgrave is in the game and he can't block. He falls over and ends up not getting the outside backer. I think I'll try to show it from the other copy here. So 88, they got basically a combo with 85. Zach Tom's going to get his job done. right here, and he just falls over. I mean, this and this stuff happens. I don't know if he trips on Matthew Golden, but you've got this block taken care of, these blocks taken care of, and all you got, 1, 2 to 1, 2. Golden's going outside to the corner. I mean, this is a big, big hole, and just because he's just kind of whiffs. And you see a lot of times when you whiff on this stuff, like honestly, it's as simple as like your landmark. When you're head up and you got inside help, I always tell our guys, like I'm trying to punch a hole through this dude's chest. Like I want to end this guy's life right now because I can't really get beat inside, right? But if I take an outside angle, like a defensive end is just going to arm over and you whiff out, and sometimes then you look like you're out of control when really you're just taking poor landmarks a little bit. But, I mean, that's the play. Look how big that play is otherwise. All right, look at this timing throw. Under center play action. They go fake can, so they're going over. Plants and throws the little basic here, man. Look at the timing. It's a little behind, whatever. Good hands by Romeo Dobbs, but, man, the timing on this. There's no hitch, just plant and rip it. That's awesome. The Steelers playing off, does a good job sucking everybody up. They've got two guys looking at the backside tight end, right? It's really just it's a two-man concept with I think we got a tight end in the flat here. We got somebody coming in the flat, but you're just curling this in, and backers down, safe, corners off, safety somewhere over in yonder. We got cornerback here. And so he's got this little window to throw, but if you hitch this, there's so many things that can happen. But man, when you can just plant and rip like he does right here, I mean, no chance. God, that's a good throw.
Hey friends, it's time to get our sleeper picks in for Packers-Panthers this coming Sunday, noon in Lambeau Field. I'm excited for this game, and I'm going rookie heavy for my picks in this game. First of all, Matthew Golden. He's a little bit frustrated, hasn't been utilized more. 35.5 receiving yards. I'm going more than 35.5 receiving yards for Matthew Golden in this game. I think Matt LaFleur and this Packers offense will be a little bit more intentional in getting Matthew Golden the ball. I expect him to bounce back and have a big performance against Carolina. So Matthew Golden, more than 35.5 receiving yards. On the flip side, for Carolina, Tet McMillan, more than 51.5 receiving yards. So maybe a slightly high number here, but I expect Carolina is going to have to throw the ball to try to get back in this game at different points in this game. And I'm expecting that, once again, a big, tall, physical receiver on the outside is going to give Green Bay some troubles. And I'm expecting Carolina is going to try Tet McMillan early and often in this game. So Tet, more than 51.5 receiving yards. And then Ryan Fitzgerald, their rookie kicker, more than 1.5 field goals made. Whether he makes it or not might be a little bit more interesting, but I expect this is going to be another bend but don't break performance from Green Bay's defense, which is going to allow Fitzgerald to have multiple field goal attempts. And I expect that he's going to make at least 2 of those. So Matthew Golden, more than 35.5 receiving yards, Tet McMillan, more than 51.5 receiving yards, and Ryan Fitzgerald, more than 1.5 field goals made. The best part is that you can get a 100% match up to $100 by utilizing code Packaday over on Sleeper. Again, a 100% match by utilizing code Packaday over on Sleeper. Terms and conditions apply. Check those out over on Sleeper. And of course, they are available in over 25 states. So if you haven't checked it out yet, what are you waiting for? Get after it and get your Green Bay Carolina picks in for this week. Hey friends, Andy Herman here. Before we get back to Mike Wahle, who is absolutely amazing, by the way, just shout out to Mike for all these incredible film breakdowns coming on with the live Q&A on Mondays. And then of course, with our regular podcast as well. If you haven't checked those out yet, make sure to do so. But before we get back to Mike, just want to shout out our 2 sponsors for today's show. First of all, Luigi's Frozen Pizzas. If you haven't checked these out yet, what are you waiting for? A little bit of buzz, by the way, that there's going to be some news around Luigi's Pizza. So keep an eye out for that. The best way to do so is to follow them on social media at Luigi's Pizza, and make sure you're checking out luigispizza.com as well. You can see their whole line of pizzas, also the store locator, so you can find the Luigi's Pizza nearest to you. Find them in your local grocer in the freezer section. They're absolutely delicious. You're going to want to get a bunch and celebrate our Victory Mondays right alongside of me by enjoying a delicious Luigi's frozen pizza. Also, Alchemy Wealth Management, retirewithryan.net. This is a unbelievable offer. You get to go to their website, retirewithryan.net, and for free, do one of two things. Either download all the great materials they have for you to just on your own help you with your financial future, or what I highly recommend, set up that free consultation with Ryan. He's going to help you on your retirement journey, on your financial journey, wherever you are at with your walk, whether that be near retirement, retired already, or just starting to think about it. Wherever you are at, he's going to be able to help you. Check it out over at retirewithryan.net. Ryan Nelson, Alchemy Wealth Management. Cannot recommend it enough. And a huge thank you to Ryan for partnering with us and also providing that free service to all of our viewers. Now it is time to get back to the one and only Mike Wahle.
I thought this was, I showed this because this was, this is Josh Jacobs' best run of the night, 6 yards. Watch how they use another inventive way to use Tucker Kraft here. Went a little bit too far. Watch a little inventive way to use Tucker Kraft. So they just obviously just do some sort of like half orbit motion, bring him back to get TJ Watt just at a different angle. For whatever reason, it's interesting too, and it's game plan specific, obviously, because most people, when they see the right tackle leave, like he's going straight down the line, and he's in a position with his outside foot back. God. Outside foot back, so I guess they know that he's going to take that big step forward. He's a sprinter stance. Look how fast he is off the line, but he's going straight up field. So you get that cutoff. We get lucky here. Patrick Queen decides to go play side now. And if we just get a little bit better angle on by Zach Tom on the backside, which is hard to do with the stance that he's in, you can see it. So what I'm saying is here, this footwork, if we're trying to come down and double to 41 and he loops out, this footwork, if you put a line here, it's going to be hard for him to step over that line with his inside foot. He's just not going to be able to gain leverage. What you're going to potentially get out of that instead, though, is that TJ Watt's over here going like, oh, I got to run upfield. They're going to run some sort of stunt. I know the safety's coming down to trap the tight end right here. Maybe, I don't know if he's going to run a stunt or some sort of dog or read it. But it gives you that part of it is an advantage. So maybe that's a good trade-off here. But you just see the footwork's just difficult. So he's short on he's going to be short anyways because it's a 2-eye. Actually takes good footwork here. It's just sometimes they stun out and give you a hard time. Sean Ryan actually does a decent job of staying on 41 here. We see Queen coming up. They wash 97. That's 6-yard run. It's the best run of the night for Josh Jacobs, sadly. This was wild, just busted coverage play. So they change strength. So the safeties are going to rotate here. Puts 55 out in a situation where he has to cover. Or safety's got to come across. It's got to be one or the other. They decided to do kind of neither until the end. It looks like the safety made the mistake, or he just read it real early that Jordan Love saw, like, oh, I guess we're going to throw the guy. We're not going to cover, even though he's our best receiver. But very, very rarely in the National Football League are you going to get this look. Very, very rarely, where you got safety with the back or corner with the back. This guy's 10 yards off, and there's literally nobody to cover who is, I think, the best yards after catch tight end in the league right now. So that's fantastic. Let's get more of this. This guy's an absolute freight train, man. What a year he's having. On tight end day, too. Unbelievable. So we're under center, got this tight formation. And I just think we're barking up the wrong tree, quite frankly. Got Jordan Morton back in the game here. We're trying to run downhill. I mean, this just isn't it. It's just not it. And you just start looking at, what am I saying? Well, look at the double here. There's just nothing going on there. We got people kind of standing up, and then we're kind of leaning here, but we really got to get around to this. It's tough. I mean, look, Banks is playing against a legitimate Hall of Fame, like at whatever age he is, like all pro last year. He is unbelievable with his hands and leverage. Like, he's outmatched, right? And then there's some games you're going to be outmatched. Like he's out. Hayward is a better player than Banks is. That just is what it is. You can have a good game, bad game. Just for the. It's not insulting anybody when I say that. Cameron Hayward's a Hall of Fame player, so like you can deal with that, okay? But this is where it becomes problematic. Got to get some movement. Rasheed Walker does a good job with Herbert coming back. But if you can stay basically head up at that nose tackle and just not get moved at all, it's too easy. Got to get some movement on your double teams. So it looks like these guys they ran this very successfully last week. Brought the safety down in the box late, rotated over. It's really for a run fit because back's offset here. They think they're going to go this way. But got the tight formation, so you're kind of showing that crack look, and they just released Tucker Kraft out here, and what's impressive really is how fast Jordan's like, oh, that doesn't look right. You know what I mean? Let's just throw it. Some of this stuff, it's so great when guys have big games, but they showed the stat last night and like 131 of 143 of Tucker Kraft's yards, whatever it was like all but like 12 yards were after the catch. And what that means is that Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love are putting together a game plan and executing a game plan along with everybody else, along with Tucker Kraft. But there's just giving him, look at that's a joke. That's unbelievable. But that, the rest of this stuff is all him, and it's fantastic and it's great. But, when you start talking about good play callers and bad play callers, like they've caught something here. It doesn't happen that many times. And then we try to run it with Saban Williams. This is once a week I got to put in what I think is the worst play in Green Bay Packers football right here, which is some form of let's take our back and run him this direction, and then have him try to cut down. And this guy tries to get through. This guy will play behind. We'll try to get a double here. This guy will play here. This guy will play down, and we'll just try to bounce it back before they want to make the play. It's just like every damn time we watch this damn play. Jenkins gets forklifted back off the line of scrimmage. And it's hard because they're not this is another one of those plays where if you're just watching at home, like Banks is going here, but Morgan's going here. No one's blocking their best linebacker. Even if the play worked out perfect, that's just to me, that's unsound. Maybe I don't know football that well, I guess. Got lucky here. I'm going to show it from the end zone. It's a third down play, but almost lost him. A little drift. That looks bad, man. That looks bad. It's like how not to make friends, Tough sport. Glad is all right. Got a 1st and 10 play here out of their little tight bunch under center. Showed this to show you that there's always even more yards out on the field. So they're going to go run the little sail. He ends up hitting the outlet because he can't step into this throw. Tucker Kraft is wide ass open on this play. He just can't step into the throw. That happens sometimes, but there's always meat on the bone. I think it's 2nd and 6. They really enjoy running out of these tight little bunch releases and kind of different ways to screw things up. For the defense now, this has to stop happening. We got a little car accident here, obviously, but you see that we got some movement on that double, but I'll show you kind of what happens here. It just goes to show you that you don't It goes to show you things are always changing. So they're going to commit. So, for those playing at home, this is the best player on the field defensively, this guy. They're going to commit these three guys to all making sure they touch Harrison here, which is wild. Banks takes some poor footwork and just gets put back into the line of scrimmage. And they end up not getting anything, but it's like you got three dudes trying to touch this guy. Meanwhile, this dude is the problem. Now, obviously, we've got to take better footwork and all that. You lose on your initial step. Okay, so watch the timing throw down here to Watson on the out. Again, these are the reps that are, for me, just super impressive, especially with Watson just coming back. Obviously, he's been practicing. But look at the bottom of the screen here. Throws the ball now, comes out of his break. I remember I used to go to USC games in high school, and I think it was like Marinovich or Palmer. I don't know who it was. It must have been Marinovich. But he would throw these balls on time. Everything was on rhythm, whether counting revolutions or just the drop or whatever. But, man, I used to be so impressed with that. Be able to do that in a game is phenomenal, have that confidence. Double mugs here in the A-gaps. They go back to their bunch look. And this is, when this is the exact moment you're going to win the game. So a couple things that are interesting here. Like, watch Patrick Queen right now. He doesn't really come off and just run through. Like, remember Quay Walker last week was like, he was like, nah, I'm gonna go ahead and just go right through the running back. I don't care if you're there or not. Well, Queen doesn't really do that. I mean, he does a good job with his hands. He gets and knocks down Jordan Love, but ends up making the play. So they end up running a good route combination here where they stick this back. They run the 7 again, but they bring this guy and break him inside to get rid of him. And this ball hangs in the air forever. You're just going like, you got to be kidding me. And now yards after contact again. You got to be. I mean, 22 had a rough day at the office, man. Okay, we go under center, hand the ball off again. What's happening here is you want to run this play. There's a couple things going on. Like, you want to run this play here. I mean, this is the bubble, right? But this is where it gets really difficult because you don't just, as a matter of principle, want to go down and around, right? Although that might be the better play. You'd love to get something here, but he's going to shoot the gap. And this is a tough block for Elgton Jenkins. And again, Hayward's just a really damn good player, but you got no chance. He's 2 yards in the backfield already. Yeah, that's why he's a Hall of Famer. So then they go for it. I think this is the 3rd and 2 play. So they try to run. They put Quinn and B. This is actually just like a linebacker jam look. They just can't get. I mean, I don't know, man. Sometimes we're getting cute. Like, this is a block that you're going, I don't know if that's fair. Just lined up where you're lined up, if you're in line here, you're not going to get you might get a 7. It might be a wash down, but at least it's clean. You got to get some movement here, obviously. One-on-one block. It's hard. It's hard. I would think that you'd want to get the double on 97, but because you just look at that block, it's like look at the power and extension that Hayward can develop. He just extends out and he's good to go. And we're just effectively initial because we used to talk about this with Josh Myers a lot because you just get this jump kind of to width. Like, there's no pop there or nothing. So he just sits coming in, trying to get some momentum. And really, you have to win here, and you got to that's a kind of a weird picture. Put some eyeballs, some glasses maybe, I don't know, maybe more hair. But you got to win initially. That play has to get downhill now if you want to win. If you want to get something, because you're going to get a fall off here, you're going to get a fall off here. You think that Zach Tom's probably going to win that block. But you got to be able to run through an arm tackle, and you got to be able to get space right here. If you don't get it right now, it's like you got nowhere to go. So they go 4th and 1. Genius play. And I think this is another interesting one where you go, I don't think anybody actually thinks they're running the football here after they just didn't get it twice. But then again, he's so wide ass open. And it's just the way they set this up, man. It's really smart. They go 12 personnel and they just, everyone's kind of, looking like they're going to block inside. He just steps out here. The eyes are going to be on the widest guy at the wide receiver position, and you can see right now he turns his head inside. And so they just don't figure it out. Oh, wait a second. What an athlete, man. Right? This fast 4 motion is awesome, right? So they get to 4 on the left with Savion Williams just doing a fast flow. And unfortunately for the Steelers, they just had success on the first play of the second half by jetting him up off the corner cat. But now they're mismatched. So now we got to get over. The way that he walks in here is almost laughable. I don't know if it's 22 or 23 at the top here. I'm going to highlight him, because I think everybody does a fantastic job, blah, 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 blah. This is a great, again, Matt LaFleur's a really good play caller. Everyone's, in the first half, nobody thinks so. In the second half, everybody goes, okay, great. But watch this guy. Like, what are we doing, man? That's tough. That's tough. Another one of those kind of improv plays, then flips his hips, throw across her body. Wilson came in and had I think he had the biggest run of the game. Then he had 2 good pass plays, breaks a couple tackles here. Just little things. Big plays in the game, man. Breath of fresh air. Ryan just drops his right foot here a little bit early. It's always hard, man, when you're kicking out to a 4 technique or a 5 technique, because you want to set flat. All the offensive line coaches, or a lot of them, are going to be like, nah, man, we got to set flat. It's like, well, he's all the way out here, and if I set flat, I'm going to have to turn, right? That's going to be a problem. But you don't practice the line set as much as you should, maybe. I'll tell you what, this is 2 strong dudes going at it right here, Aaron Banks and Hayward. Aaron Banks is listen, I've got so much respect for this block, because this is literally by all means necessary. It's phenomenal. He's like, fuck, what am I going to, right here, just goes up. I'm just going to turn sideways and just plant, dude. That's such a great job by him. That's such a great job. All right, we go motion across. And they're running the worst play in football again. Worst play for us. But look at the movement here. We got some movement. Rewind it a little bit. Just highlight that. We do exactly what we want there. He doesn't need to come up. Now this is, we were talking last week where we didn't know why Sean Ryan wasn't playing. And, the coaches had said, I don't read the coaches' comments, but they said something like, Andy Herman was saying, he got something, he's got to work on this, he's got to work on that. It's whatever. They weren't happy with some things, and we were like, oh, maybe he's not has the assignments right. I don't know. So it seems pretty obvious. This isn't a great body position, but it seems pretty obvious that Eldon is going for 55. These guys are doubling to a safety that's probably off the screen somewhere over here, and you'll see that as they finish up, because I think Zach Tom gets off, and for whatever reason, Sean Ryan comes off here late. And then their guy could have gotten into the play. And again, I'm just making this assumption that Jenkins is right, just because if he was actually going back to 6 here, it's just a really, standing straight up, not a great job, because you could get really thick on that number 95 block. All right. Another way to know the game's going to go well. And look, we talk about these, he throws a couple of these every year where it just feels like it's hanging in the air for a long time. And the safety's out of position, 22, 22 had a bad game, no question about it. But he's putting his players in a position to make plays. That's all that's happening here. I mean, Christian Watson right now has 3/4 or more of the field to play with. And I'll give you a little bit more right here. This safety is the only deep player aside from the corner that's on him, and he's facing the wrong direction. So if Jordan Love feels like he can throw the ball past the 15, 10-yard line, like you throw the damn ball, right? You just got this guy back. It's like you just got your car back from the shop, man. Let's take it for a test drive. So happy to see this guy have a good game too, just coming back after that injury. Fantastic, man. What a jump cut bounce. Christian Watson blocks down. The safety come off the edge. Does a good job. I mean, he does a good job. Some guys are going to get that play, but God, the way he runs away from 26, man. God, he's a good player. He's just so good. You love when the receiver takes some pride in making this play, though. You know what I mean? You love when 9 comes down and really tries to just tries to do his job and do it right, be happy with it. Get a guy on the ground, get a knockdown for the day. We'll finish the day with the second Tucker Kraft touchdown. I think they run another switch release. Yeah. He's got some wheels, man. So what's cool about these plays is right here, even if they're going man, this player feels like he has to get, because they stack and then he comes back inside. He feels like he has to get outside of this because he can't put his hands on. But then as he cuts inside, he's giving up all this leverage, and there's nobody inside because we can release out here, and we've got this, right? So the only guy that can make a play is this player. He's way over there. Such a cool little concept. Then again, you kind of look at 22, man. God, he had a bad day. It's a rough sport. All right, so a great win. Listen, the Packers, for all of their, they can't do this, they can't do that, they're running the football's not great, blah, 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 blah. I think they're number one in the NFC. They're certainly number one in the division. I mean, this is a really good football team, and it's like there's no reason to apologize for it either. There's clearly things. It's always a weird deal when you get to this point in the season because you still don't really know what you are as a finished product, but you got a pretty good idea of what you're good at. Your quarterback's playing at a high level. You're getting some weapons back. Christian Watson this week. Hopefully, we'll see Jaden Reed next week. But you're getting some offensive weapons back. Offensive line's healthy. I'm hoping they figured out that Sean Ryan's better in the run game than Jordan Morgan, and they continue to give him some more reps. Last week he didn't play at all. This week he played the majority of the snaps, and I thought deservedly so. I showed a little bit on the tape why. But they can continue to improve there just from a physicality standpoint, a footwork standpoint. Listen, Tucker Kraft is just turning into this really great story, fun weapon, a guy that everybody's going to root for. It's just that I love the tight ends are taking over the league, and man, it's freaking awesome. It's my favorite position in football, to be honest with you. It's what I played before I became a offensive lineman. But you get the glory, man. You get the blocking. You get everything you want. Great sport, great personality, great talent. And we're really, really lucky to have Goody made the right decision in drafting that guy for sure. I'm really interested to see down the stretch here how we continue to mold this team up front. You saw Wyatt was a big presence in the game. Carrington Valentine being on the edge, I thought made a huge difference. This is a wide receiver quarterback league. This is not a cornerback league. This is not a defensive back league. Keyshawn Nixon with the pass interference, that's going to happen. It happens because it's the shitty way the system works. That could be an uncatchable ball. Really, if it's even close, it doesn't matter. And the way that our linebackers are playing, the speed of which we get to the ball, I think they made a great point last night. Those swing balls are not getting, for the most part, and there's some missed tackles in there, but for the most part, those are 2 and 3 yard gains, not 5 and 6 yard gains, which is a huge difference in the way you call football plays. And as long as Micah Parsons can continue at the clip that he's going, not from a stat standpoint, but from an effort and execution standpoint, guys like Rashawn Gary, like he could get back in the Pro Bowl with like 10 plus sacks this year. And shoot, I mean, how many of them we've already seen? Maybe 4 at least that I can think of where he's either not blocked or being blocked, and just, as a consequence of everybody eyes are going over here, quarterback having to step up or whatever, he gets these sacks. Not that he's not deserving of them. That's how a lot of people get sacks. But you can see that clearly the disruptor and alpha dog number one is Micah Parsons. He's doing just a fantastic job. He has been since the day he stepped into the building. So been fun to watch. This team is a treat. We'll get the preview show on Thursday. Thanks again for watching. Please like, subscribe, rate, review, hit the comment button. And thanks again to the Pack a Day podcast for putting me on their platform. Guys, have a great week. We'll talk to you soon.